They are all shameless B** cheese. Humph. Isn't your mother greedy for the money of our he family? But it's a pity that even if she dies, she won't be able to get a single cent from the he family. I'll tell you the truth. If you didn't marry that Sue guy, you're still useful to the he family. My dad would have chased you out long ago. My mom didn't covet the money of the he family. My mom isn't that kind of person. I won't allow you to insult her. He Shuayun staggered towards the woman, as if she wanted to grab her arm. However, before He Shuayun could touch her, the woman swung her arm and pushed He Shuayun away. He Shuayun staggered and almost fell down, but she still managed to stabilize her body. Don't put on an act for me. The woman stared coldly at He Shuayun and said, she is obviously a lewd and perverted woman from the bottom of her heart, yet she has to pretend to be a lady of a noble family. Do you know that when I see a hypocritical woman like you, I will be disgusted to death? Don't think I don't know that you've been following the rules since you were young. You even went to Swordbridge to learn some business management. You even said that you wanted to help my father share the burden. Humph. You're simply trying to invade the property of our he family. It was unknown whether there was hatred or jealousy on this woman's face. She said coldly to He Shuayun, fortunately, my father knew your intentions and did not let you touch the company. Let me tell you, you will never get a single cent from our he family in your lifetime. Your mother can't, and you can't either. He Shuayun was drunk, and her consciousness gradually became blurry. She could only reach out and support the lamppost beside her. She heard the woman say to the other male partners, hey, you two, didn't you just say that this woman is beautiful? Now, while she's drunk, you two serve her well. I'll take some more photos and give them to those gossiping magazines tomorrow. I want to see how this good wife of Sue family will meet people in the future. A tall man hesitated and said, hey, this isn't good. She's your sister after all. This woman was actually He Shuayun's younger sister. Pooey, I have more than 10 brothers and sisters. Even if I don't have her as my elder sister, she still isn't a member of our he family. The woman said disdainfully. Another man said, although you said so, if Gambling King knew that we had sex with his daughter, our 9 lives wouldn't be enough. The woman said again, what are you afraid of? I won't take care of you. If you don't say it, who knows it will be you who did it. When the 2 men heard her words, they looked at He Shuayun at the same time. They only felt that He Shuayun's cheeks were red and she was drunk and flirty. They could not help but fiercely swallow their saliva. They were also very interested in He Shuayun's younger sister's words. He Shuayun vaguely heard their words, and her face immediately changed. She said to the woman, no, you guys are breaking the law by doing this. So what if you are breaking the law? I am going to let you, this cheap woman, have a taste of what it means to be a husband. The woman said maliciously, Dad won't let you go. He Shuayun said, who is your dad? The woman immediately walked over. You're not a member of he family, nor are you my father's daughter. Who knows? Did your mother, that be *tch, give birth to another wild man? I won't allow you to talk about her like that. He Shuayun was so angry that she wanted to reach out and grab that woman's arm. However, the woman dodged to the side and raised her right hand to slap He Shuayun. However, before her right hand could hit He Shuayun, it was grabbed by a hand. She was stunned for a moment before she saw a young and handsome man appear in front of her. The 2 men beside her were also shocked because they could not see how this guy appeared. The man who suddenly appeared in front of He Shuayun was surprisingly Zhou Hao. You are her younger sister? This is the first time I have seen such a vicious younger sister. Zhou Hao looked at the woman and coldly harumphed. This woman's appearance was not bad, and she was somewhat similar to He Shuayun. However, He Shuayun's younger sister was a typical example of having a narrow forehead and a sharp chin. She was a kind of sharp and mean woman. He did not know how others looked at her, but for Zhou Hao, even if he did not hear her vicious words just now, he did not have a good impression of such a woman. Furthermore, as He Shuayun's younger sister, this woman actually instigated others to rape He Shuayun while she was drunk, and even took a photo to bring to the magazine. From her expression, Zhou Hao did not think that she was joking at all. He Shuayun saw the back view that suddenly appeared in front of her, and only felt a sense of familiarity. When she heard Zhou Hao's voice, she was pleasantly surprised and said, Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao turned his head to look at her, and said somewhat reproachfully, why did you drink again? He Shuayun's face darkened when she heard this. She lowered her head slightly and did not speak anymore. When her younger sister saw Zhou Hao's concerned look towards He Shuayun, she sneered and said, He Shuayun, which adulterous husband of yours is this? I didn't say anything wrong with you just now, right? You are a born biker. No matter where you go, you don't lack men. You still dare to say that you're my older sister? You have disgraced the He family. Enough. You're considered the best among the women. I think it's an insult to Shui Yun to become your sister. Zhou Hao said without any hesitation. He family claims to be a noble family. I thought Shui Yun's character is worthy of the He family's reputation. Now, it seems that the He family has no manners to produce a woman like you. You are just a nouveau riche. You. The woman glared at Zhou Hao. How dare you insult our He family? Do you know what you are doing? Zhou Hao sighed slightly. I am too lazy to argue with a woman like you. Take those 2 men of yours and get lost. After saying that, he let go of the woman's hand. This woman could not withstand Zhou Hao's strength. She took a few steps back before stabilizing her body. She rubbed her aching wrist and shouted to the 2 male companions beside her. What are you looking at? Help me teach him a lesson. The 2 men looked at each other and attacked Zhou Hao from both sides. Zhou Hao knew that these 2 men were ordinary people who did not know martial arts. They could not even be compared to those gangsters. He did not do anything. He only helped He Shuiyun up from behind and walked towards his car. The 2 men seemed to have been hit by something and fell back to the ground. They hugged their stomachs and felt pain all over their bodies. They curled up like shrimps. Zhou Hao did not even look at them. He continued to support He Shuiyun towards that direction. He Shuiyun's younger sister looked at her 2 male companions who were lying on the ground and moaning. She did not dare to chase after Zhou Hao. She just gritted her teeth and looked at the pair of very close figures. After helping He Shuiyun to sit in the front passenger seat, Zhou Hao drove the car away. In the car, Zhou Hao looked at the road in front of him, but he was looking at He Shuiyun beside him out of the corner of his eye. He Shuiyun sat there with her head resting on the pillow. She slightly tilted her head and looked out the window. Her eyes were slightly narrowed, only revealing a line. That hazy posture that seemed to be drunk and awake was very alluring. Moreover, the first button on her white chiffon shirt was loosened, revealing the white fine neck as well as the faintly discernible beautiful collarbone. He Shuiyun, who was so drunk and charming, gave Zhou Hao the feeling that she was like a plum blossom in the snow that penetrated into his heart. Zhou Hao felt that He Shuiyun seemed to have noticed that he was secretly looking at her, but she did not say anything, nor did she put the button on her shirt. In the end, Zhou Hao took the initiative to look away and once again focused on the road ahead. After all, it was very rude of him to look at her like that. The one just now is my sister, He Chaoing. He Shuiyun suddenly opened her mouth and there was a fleeting sadness in her voice. I know, Zhou Hao replied faintly. However, this was the first time Zhou Hao had seen someone murder his sister's sister like this. He heard He Shuiyun say, her mother is not my mother. Furthermore, her mother is a woman officially registered with my father. She is my father's legal wife. My mother is one of my father's mistress, or rather, a concubine. Zhou Hao did not know if it was an illusion, but when He Shuiyun mentioned the word concubine, she sounded like she was crying. It turned out that He Chaoing and He Shuiyun were sisters of the same father and different mother. No wonder she was so cold and vicious towards He Shuiyun. Zhou Hao knew that since ancient times, the wealthy were as deep as the sea. Brothers and sisters of the same generation often fought and schemed against each other openly and covertly for the wealth of the family. Among them, mutual deception was not the slightest bit inferior to those palace scenes. In order to make the air in the car fresher, Zhou Hao lowered the window slightly. Along with the fast speed of the car, the cool night wind blew in through the gap in the window and gently lifted He Shuiyun's hair. This way, the already charming He Shuiyun became even more beautiful to the point of being soul-stirring. Furthermore, Zhou Hao could also smell He Shuiyun's faint body fragrance from the wind, as well as the scent of alcohol, which made Zhou Hao feel slightly intoxicated. My mother was originally under my father's care. He Shuiyun's eyes were still floating outside the window. Her voice sounded like she was talking in her sleep. The first time my mother saw my father, she was exactly 23 years old. My father, at that time, was already 50 years old. Zhou Hao had also heard about He Hongsen's dissolute deeds. He knew that up until now, he had a main wife, which was the biological mother of He Chaoing. In addition, He Hongsen also had 3 concubines. These 4 women were all publicly announced, which was also the official marriage of He Hongsen. However, it was rumored that He Hongsen still had more than 20 lovers who had never been publicly announced. As for whether the matter was true or not, no one knew. However, Zhou Hao was still quite impressed by He Hongsen, because he knew that in the 2,000 years after 3 years, He Hongsen would have another daughter at the age of 78. Zhou Hao did not understand He Hongsen's other situation, but his extraordinary reproductive ability made Zhou Hao admire him. Zhou Hao had also heard that He Hongxin often ate things like tiger whips and deer whips to maintain his vigorous energy. However, this was also a rumor, and he did not know whether it was true or not. Although my mother followed my father and became one of his women, however, my father has never revealed my mother's identity. Thus, my mother can't even be considered a concubine. One of my father's mistresses. He Shuiyun muttered to herself. Hearing He Shuiyun's words, Zhou Hao thought of himself because he had a lot of women by his side. However, Zhou Hao knew that he was sincere to every woman by his side. He absolutely had no intention of toying with them. At this time, He Shuiyun turned her head to look at Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao also keenly noticed that her misty eyes were flickering with tears. She softly said, "Although everyone knows that I am my father's daughter, in reality, I am only his illegitimate daughter." Seeing the helplessness and sadness on her face, Zhou Hao also felt uncomfortable. He could totally imagine what kind of cold words He Shuiyun would receive when living in the He family as an illegitimate daughter. Moreover, her mother died early and was not doted on by He Hongxin. One could imagine how bitter her life would be. As for why she knew that He Shuiyun was not doted on by He Hongxin, it could be seen from the fact that He Hongxin forced her to marry into the Su family. Actually, my mom doesn't want to fight for anything, and she doesn't covet the He family's money like He Chaoing said. She just likes my father. She just likes him. Is it wrong for her to like him? She opened her eyes and looked at Zhou Hao. Do you think it's wrong to like someone? Zhou Hao shook his head. No. He Shuiyun shrugged her shoulders and leaned against the back of the chair. A teardrop flowed out of her eyes and dripped down her face. My mother died of illness and lung cancer. When she found out, she only had 3 months left to live. Taking a deep breath, she said, during those 3 months, I was always by my mother's side. My father, he never came here before. He never came to see my mother. But my mother told me that she didn't want my father to come because my mother didn't want him to see her after she did chemotherapy. Tears rolled down her face like pearls that had fallen off a string. She looked at the dim yellow light outside with tearful eyes. The corner of her mouth curled up slightly, revealing a heart-wrenching smile. I know my mom lied to me. However, my mother loved my father so much. Even when she died, she was still protecting my father. Before she died, she told me that my father was a good man and told me not to blame him. Hearing He Shuiyun's words, Zhou Hao felt that she was afraid and resentful of He Hongxin, this father. He took out a tissue and handed it to He Shuiyun. He knew that what he could do was to be a quiet listener and quietly listen to her talk. When the time was right, he would give her a tissue. After saying out the bitterness in her heart, He Shuiyun seemed to have calmed down a lot. However, the tear stains on her face still made Zhou Hao's heart beat very hard. Sorry, I have said so many boring things to you. After He Shuiyun wiped away the tears on her face, she smiled apologetically to Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao shook his head slightly. You are tired. I will send you home. He Shuiyun lowered her head and said sadly, I don't want to go home. Why don't you take me for a ride? Zhou Hao's heart skipped a beat when he heard He Shuiyun say, I don't want to go home. But after hearing the latter part, besides feeling disappointed, Zhou Hao also felt a little guilty. She trusted you so much, but you have evil intentions in your heart. You have really betrayed her trust. Furthermore, looking at He Shuiyun's sad face, it was obvious that she was very depressed in her heart. She really should not have thought of taking advantage of others' crisis. Thus, Zhou Hao drove the car and patrolled Hong Kong's roads that were connected in all directions. Why did you drink again today? Zhou Hao asked He Shuiyun because he knew He Shuiyun was a very self-disciplined person. The last time he asked him out to drink was because Su Jinsheng had hurt his heart. It's too boring to be alone, so I went to drink to relieve my boredom, He Shuiyun said, but she saw Zhou Hao frowning slightly. She sighed and said, I had another fight with Su Jinsheng. He made a fuss and said that I was stealing people outside. He also said that I was a slut. At the end of her sentence, He Shuiyun's face turned red again. However, half of it was because she felt wronged, and the other half was because she was angry. She said, during this period of time, every time he comes back home, he would treat me coldly. The moment he opened his mouth, he would say very unpleasant words. I don't care about him. He also said that I was guilty of causing trouble. And now he said that I didn't follow the wife's path and went straight out of the wall. I've had enough of him. When Zhou Hao heard this, he also secretly sighed in his heart. If He Shuiyun really had that intention, Su Jinsheng would not be able to stop her at all. From another perspective, if it wasn't for He Hongxin forcing He Shuiyun to marry into the Su family, with He Shuiyun's condition, it wouldn't be Su Jinsheng's turn to get involved. It was also because Su Jinsheng knew that he was not worthy of He Shuiyun, who had both good looks and talent, That deep inferiority in his subconscious made him unable to be a man in front of He Shuiyun. It was also a form of retribution. After quarreling with Su Jinsheng, He Shuiyun went out to drink alone to relieve her boredom. Who knew that she would meet He Chaoing, who was drinking with two men in the bar? This was because He Chaoing had always disliked He Shuiyun, her half-sister, since she was young. In the past, she often bullied He Shuiyun and her daughter because of her mother's official wife. Therefore, she would definitely not give up this opportunity to ridicule He Shuiyun. He Shuiyun did not want to lower herself to her level and left the bar. She did not expect He Chaoing to follow her unrelentingly. It was also the scene that Zhou Hao had seen earlier. When He Shuiyun told everything to Zhou Hao, she realized that the two of them had already taken the car to Flying Goose Mountain. Through the windshield, she could see the bright night view of Hong Kong below the mountain. Zhou Hao, thank you. After chatting with you, I feel much more relaxed. He Shuiyun smiled. Zhou Hao smiled and shook his head. It's okay. We are friends. Then he stopped smiling and formally said to He Shuiyun, since you don't like Su Jinsheng and you are so unhappy with him, why don't you divorce him? No way. He Shuiyun shook her head sadly. My father will never agree. You are you. He Hongsen is He Hongsen. He likes Su Jinsheng so much. Let him marry Su Jinsheng. He Shuiyun was stunned for a moment when she heard what Zhou Hao said. Then, she couldn't help but laugh. Zhou Hao sighed. He also knew that although He Shuiyun also had a grudge against He Hongsen, she did not dare to disobey him. For some reason, Zhou Hao thought of his mother Yin Tong. She was the same as He Shuiyun. No matter how bad her husband was, he was not willing to get a divorce. He belonged to the kind of woman who went against her will. Actually, I am already very satisfied to be able to meet a friend like you, He Shuiyun suddenly said faintly. Zhou Hao sighed again. No matter what, if you need any help in the future, just come to me directly. Thank you, He Shuiyun said sincerely. He Shuiyun's heart started to beat faster when she saw Zhou Hao's handsome face under the night sky. She could not help but say, Zhou Hao, can you lend me your shoulder to lean on? When she finished speaking, her face turned red and she felt even more embarrassed in her heart. How could she say such words? Zhou Hao was stunned for a moment, but when he saw He Shuiyun's expectant and imploring eyes, he nodded his head. He Shuiyun did not expect Zhou Hao to actually agree, and then she remembered that day when he rescued her in the hands of a few bandits who killed without batting an eye. That kind of sense of security was something she had never felt before. Slowly, He Shuiyun moved closer to Zhou Hao. She placed her hands on her knees and tightly held onto her skirt. She was very nervous. When her head was leaning on Zhou Hao's tough shoulder, Zhou Hao could feel her delicate body trembling slightly. At the same time, the delicate fragrance between her hair drifted into Zhou Hao's nose. Zhou Hao could not help but look at He Shuiyun and found that she was also peeking at him. When their gazes met, both of them immediately avoided it. Zhou Hao thought that his and He Shuiyun's attitude was too ambiguous. Under the dim night sky, Zhou Hao and He Shuiyun sat in the car. He Shuiyun leaned her head on Zhou Hao's shoulder, feeling a calm feeling lingering in her heart. Compared to the initial nervousness and anxiety, He Shuiyun had slowly relaxed. However, her face was still flushed red and even her neck was pink. This was the first time she was so close to the opposite sex except for her husband Su Jinsheng. In fact, Su Jinsheng felt inferior and humiliated in front of her. That was why she had never been so close to him. Strictly speaking, it was He Shuiyun's first time getting close to the opposite sex in her life. Furthermore, she was the one who took the initiative. As for Zhou Hao, he was sitting up straight with his hands on his knees, not daring to cross the line. However, the two of them didn't say anything. The atmosphere between them seemed to be a little stiff. Zhou Hao felt a little awkward, so he turned on the radio in the car. A melodious song drifted over, and it turned out to be Toniglet Eiffel to You. When he heard the song that Liang Xiaobing and Su Lin were singing, Zhou Hao thought to himself, it really fits the scene. He Shuiyun had studied abroad in England a long time ago, and her English level was very high, so she could naturally understand the lyrics of this English song. Thus, her face became even redder. Her gaze shifted again. She quietly looked at Zhou Hao's face and coincidentally saw Zhou Hao also looking at her. But this time, their gazes did not avoid each other as easily as before. Instead, they attracted each other like two magnets. He Shuiyun felt an indescribable impulse in her heart. She really wanted to be closer to Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao also smelled the fragrance of He Shuiyun's body that was very close to him. His heart was rippling. Slowly, the two of them got closer and closer to each other. Zhou Hao could also feel He Shuiyun's fragrant breath. He Shuiyun also felt her heart beating faster and faster, as if she could not suppress it. Finally, Zhou Hao and He Shuiyun's lips pressed together. However, Just as Zhou Hao was about to take another step forward, He Shuyan suddenly got some strength out of nowhere and pushed Zhou Hao away. Seeing Zhou Hao's stunned expression, He Shuyan's face turned red. She quickly lowered her head and said in a soft voice, I'm sorry, but, we can't do this, I'm sorry. She held her hands in front of her chest and tears flowed out from her eyes. She looked very weak. Zhou Hao immediately felt guilty. The restless desire in his heart also withdrew. I should be the one who said I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that to you. I'm sorry. After calming down, Zhou Hao began to think. He Shuayun had been suppressed by the bitter life to the point that she could not breathe. Plus, she had drunk wine earlier. Her heart was at its most vulnerable moment. This caused her to cross the line just now. Zhou Hao felt that he should not take advantage of others' danger like this. However, although He Shuyan also felt wronged, she did not blame Zhou Hao. Instead, she felt ashamed and annoyed that she did not know shame just now, and actually took the initiative to kiss Zhou Hao. But thinking back to the situation just now, He Shuyan felt that Zhou Hao's attraction to her in that kind of environment could not be any greater. She had never been so moved before. Zhou Hao naturally did not know what He Shuyan was thinking in her heart. Seeing that she did not speak, he thought that she was angry and quickly said, He Shuayun, I did not do it on purpose just now. It's just that you are too beautiful. I couldn't help it, that's why. It was like that. He originally wanted to call He Shuayun Mrs. Su, but then he remembered that He Shuayun and Su Jinxing only had the name of husband and wife and did not have a real husband and wife. Furthermore, He Shuyan also very much rejected his, Mrs. Su, identity. Zhou Hao wanted to change his name to Miss He, but now that this kind of ambiguous thing happened between the two of them, calling her Miss He did not seem appropriate. So, in the end, he could only call her Snow Cloud. He Shuyan heard Zhou Hao affectionately call her Snow Cloud, and her face secretly blushed. When she heard Zhou Hao praise her beauty, a kind of sweetness suddenly appeared in her heart. She could not help but ask, Am I really beautiful? I am telling the truth, Zhou Hao said seriously. He Shuayun was secretly happy when she saw Zhou Hao's serious expression, but she did not show it on her face. In fact, since young, many people had praised her for being beautiful and moving, but He Shuyan always felt that those people came with some kind of purpose to please her. Perhaps it was because of her identity as He Hongshi's daughter, or perhaps it was because of something else. Now, she could deeply feel that Zhou Hao was praising her from the bottom of his heart. Moreover, Zhou Hao's attraction to her was so great. To be able to receive his praise, it was worth it for He Shuayun to be happy. Zhou Hao saw that although He Shuayun did not speak for a long time, the expression on her face clearly did not have the intention of blaming him. He asked probingly, How about I send you home? He Shuyan shook her head. When you go back, it will only be another fight with Su Jinxing. That's right. Is the young lady called Su Lin still at your house? Seeing Zhou Hao nod, she continued, Then, if you don't mind, can I spend the night at your place? Don't worry, I'll be back early tomorrow morning. If Zhou Hao only had him at home, He Shuyan really wouldn't dare to go to his house because she was afraid that the situation would happen again if she was alone with a man and a woman. The most important thing was that if that kind of situation really happened again, she didn't know if she could be as ruthless as before to reject Zhou Hao. After that, Zhou Hao took He Shuyan back to his home. Su Lin had indeed returned. Even Liang Xiaobing had gotten rid of the reporter's entanglement and came back. Seeing Zhou Hao bring He Shuyan back, He Shuyan still had a faint smell of alcohol on her body. Su Lin and Liang Xiaobing looked at each other and looked at Zhou Hao suspiciously. I just met Miss He on the way and saw that she was drunk and she did not want to go home, so I can only let her spend the night here. Zhou Hao quickly explained to the two girls. He Shuyan also slightly nodded to the two girls. Sorry to bother you. Su Lin had seen He Shuyan the last time, but Liang Xiaobing had only heard of her from Zhou Hao and Su Lin and had not seen her. Both of them knew Zhou Hao's character. Not to mention that he took the initiative to provoke others. Even if he was indifferent, he would attract many women, so they immediately became suspicious. Naturally, they would not reveal anything in front of He Shuyan. Instead, they smiled and nodded at her in a friendly manner, because they knew very well that a man's face was very important. No matter what, they could not let their man lose face in front of others. When He Shuyan saw Su Lin and Liang Xiaobing exchanging glances with Zhou Hao, she naturally guessed that their relationship was not simple, and a wave of sourness arose in her heart for no reason. Early in the morning, Zhou Hao, who was still sleeping, suddenly felt an itch on his chest. When he slowly opened his eyes, he saw two heads on his chest. He reached out and hugged the two girls, and said with a smile on his face, What? Didn't I teach you enough last night? Su Lin and Liang Xiaobing saw that Zhou Hao had woken up and made a moan sound. Both of them pulled their heads back into the blanket like two startled little rabbits. It was currently morning, and it was precisely Zhou Hao's morning break. Suddenly, Zhou Hao felt his lower body tighten. For a moment, the bed was rolled by the waves, and from time to time, the lovely cries of the two girls could be heard. After tidying up the two girls, Zhou Hao put on his clothes and came out. If he and Su Lin were the only two girls in the house, he would often walk around the house naked. But now that He Shuiyun was a guest in the house, Zhou Hao naturally had to put on his clothes before coming out. When he came to the first floor, Zhou Hao smelled a tempting aroma, but it came from the kitchen. He went to the kitchen to take a look and saw He Shuiyun making breakfast there. He saw that she was wearing a set of casual clothes that Su Lin had prepared for her yesterday. Although the clothes were loose, it could not cover her beautiful figure. Smelling that fragrance, Zhou Hao knew that He Shuiyun's culinary skills were not bad. She was not the kind of Miss Jiao Jiao who did not touch the sun with her fingers. However, Zhou Hao also thought that with He Shuiyun's outstanding qualifications, she actually had to bend down and marry someone like Su Jinsheng. It was truly a pity. At this moment, he remembered the kiss they had on Flying Goose Mountain last night, and his thoughts became even more complicated. As if he had sensed something, He Shuiyun turned around and saw Zhou Hao standing at the kitchen door. She was slightly shocked and said, "Zhou Hao, sorry, I didn't ask you before and just took up your kitchen. However, I want to thank you for staying with me, so I want to make breakfast for you." Zhou Hao hurriedly said, "You are a guest. How can you make these? Let me do it." "No need, Zhou Hao. It's me. I want to thank you," He Shuiyun said in a low voice. Zhou Hao also realized that he had nothing else to do, because He Shuiyun had already finished preparing the breakfast. After that, Zhou Hao asked Su Lin and Liang Xiaobing to get up and eat breakfast. Because they were tormented by Zhou Hao quite badly, their walking was a little soft, and the skin on their bodies even had a hint of pink. Although He Shuiyun had been married to Su Jinsheng for many years, she had not had sex with him. Therefore, she could not tell that the two of them had been moisturized by the rain. Because Su Lin and Liang Xiaobing were present, He Shuiyun and Zhou Hao no longer had that intimate moment from last night. It was as if everything had happened, and in order to not let others misunderstand, Su Lin drove He Shuiyun back in the end. Looking at He Shuiyun's back as she left, Zhou Hao could not help but feel a little worried in his heart. Liang Xiaobing, who was by the side, saw Zhou Hao's expression and smiled. "Don't look anymore. She is not an unmarried young girl, and will not be so easily deceived by you. She is not like Su Lin and I who fell into your trap so easily." "Humph, so much talking. It seems that you still have a lot of strength." Zhou Hao looked at Liang Xiaobing fiercely. Liang Xiaobing shivered when she saw Zhou Hao's wolf-like gaze. She wanted to run away, but she was grabbed and pressed against the wall beside her by Zhou Hao, who was quick to react. She felt a chill down her body, and the underwear that she had just put on was taken off by Zhou Hao again. "No, Hao, I know I was wrong." Liang Xiaobing begged for mercy. "I dare not." "Ah, don't. Lightly, lightly." In Yangzhou, Liang Fengshan was sitting in the general manager's office in the Fengshan Group headquarters building. His right hand was wrapped in a thick bandage. After leaving the Macau, the frightened Liang Fengshan immediately returned to Jiangsu. Liang Zhoutang was very worried about his son. When he saw that Liang Fengshan had returned, he heaved a sigh of relief. He didn't really care about the 10 million ransom that he had transferred. However, he was also very angry that his son had lost an index finger. He only felt a little relieved when he heard Liang Fengshan say that the Biao King had been beaten to death by Ding Guangxiong. At this time, Liang Fengshan was in the general manager's office, making a phone call with the director of the Public Security Bureau of Shangshui County in Yin City. "Director Jiang, how is it? Have you settled the matter that I asked you to do?" After returning to his territory, Liang Fengshan once again spoke in a high and mighty tone. That Director Jiang knew Liang Fengshan's identity, so naturally, he would also be polite to him. "Young Master Liang, it has been settled. I have already found that Ding Guangxiong's file. For years ago, the van he drove was overloaded and was intercepted by our county's traffic police. I don't know why he went crazy, but not only did he not stop, he even stepped on the accelerator to accelerate. He killed a traffic police officer. Later on, our county's Public Security Bureau filed a case investigation, but we didn't find him. Now, we're still trying to arrest him." After a pause, he continued, "However, since young Master Liang has spoken, I have to help him no matter what. Young Master Liang, I have already suppressed Ding Guangxiong's case. As for this file, do you need to cancel it together?" Liang Fengshan thought for a moment and said, "You can keep that file for now. Perhaps it will still be useful in the future. Although he was very grateful to Ding Guangxiang for saving his life, he still wanted to catch hold of Ding Guangxiang's weakness so that he could control him more easily. Director Liang, Mr. Ding and Mr. Shangguan are looking for you. The secretary outside said to Liang Fengshan through the phone. Let them in. Seeing Jukin Sitaku and Ding Guangxiang walk into the office, Liang Fengshan smiled at them and said, Let them in. You guys came at the right time. I was just about to introduce you guys to each other. Jukin Sitaku, this is Ding Guangxiang. He will be my assistant from now on. Hey Xiong, this is the Deputy General Manager of Fengshan Group. His name is Jukin Sitaku. Ding Guangxiang and Jukin Sitaku looked at each other, then shook hands to express their friendliness. Zhongzhe, what do you want from me? Liang Fengshan touched the bandage on his right hand and asked Jukin Sitaku. Jukin Sitaku calmly said, We lost the lawsuit against the Heavenly River Group. Liang Fengshan raised his eyebrows and scolded. How does the court do things? Didn't you tell them? In fact, Liang Fengshan already knew that he would lose this lawsuit, because compared to the patent documents of Heavenly River, the evidence provided by Fengshan Group was not enough. Besides, just like what Jukin Sitaka had planned, the ultimate goal of the Fengshan Group was not to win the lawsuit, but to make a name for themselves. Knowing that so far, many consumers had gotten to know about the Fengshan Group from the relevant news of this lawsuit, Liang Fengshan's goal had been achieved. But even so, when Liang Fengshan thought about how he had lost to Zhou Hao in the lawsuit, he was still very unhappy. At this time, Jukin Sitaka said, Actually, you can't blame the court for this. I received news that the government of Guangdong has put pressure on the Supreme Court and said that this lawsuit must be fair. Besides, there is the Zhao family behind the Heavenly River. Although the court is from Yangzhou, it doesn't dare to side with us. Liang Fengshan waved his hand. Forget it, forget it. Let's not talk about these unlucky things. How's the sales of our fresh orange? The sales are very good. I have calculated that in the entire country's orange juice beverage market, we already have 25%. Jukin Sitaka said, as of now, orange fruit has 43% of the market share, which is 8% lower than our fresh orange. In other words, we snatched 8% of the market share from them. F*K, then our current market share is 20% lower than that Zhou Hao? Liang Fengshan glared at Jukin Sitaku. Then why did you say our sales are good? What are you doing as the Deputy General Manager? When Ding Guangxiang heard Liang Fengshan's words, he secretly sighed in his heart. Liang Fengshan really did not know anything about business. It was already very impressive that Fengshan Group was able to seize over 20% of the market in such a short period of time. Moreover, Ding Guangxiang also knew that this result was because of Jukin Sitaku, the Deputy General Manager. And now, Liang Fengshan was blaming Jukin Sitaku in such a way. It was really precious to not recognize talent. Regarding Liang Fengshan's scolding, Jukin Sitaku did not have any intention to retort. He just stood there and silently endured it. When Liang Fengshan finished scolding and let him leave, he turned around and walked out of the office. At this time, Ding Guangxiang said to Liang Fengshan, Boss, I have also heard about the Zhou Hao you mentioned just now, but I don't know if the Zhou Hao I have heard of is the one you mentioned. You know Zhou Hao as well? Liang Fengshan asked curiously. Ding Guangxiang nodded. Because Biao Wang has a close relationship with the gangs in Hong Kong. I heard that Zhou Hao opened an investment company in Hong Kong. Investment company? Liang Fengshan was very confused. If what Ding Guangxiang said about Zhou Hao was really the one he knew, then it would be surprising for him to set up an investment company in Hong Kong. Ding Guangxiang shrugged and said, Actually, I'm not very clear about it. It's just that he said it before. However, I heard from Biao Wang that because of the financial storm in Asia, Zhou Hao's investment company has suffered heavy losses. They still owe Xian, Dongxing, and a few other clubs billions of HKD. Ding Guangxiang did not notice the strange light flashing in Liang Fengshan's eyes. He said to himself, Xian and E-Star are the two largest gangs in Hong Kong. If that Zhou Hao can't pay them back, it will be terrible. At this time, he heard Liang Fengshan ask him, Hey Shtong, do you know anyone in Hong Kong? Or do you know people from the underworld there? Yes, I do. Boss, what do you want me to do? Ding Guangxiang immediately knew that Liang Fengshan had something to do with him. He saw Liang Fengshan take out a few photos, which were taken from different angles by Zhou Hao. Liang Fengshan said, Contact the friends you know in Hong Kong immediately and make sure that they are not Zhou Hao. Also, I want to know if his investment company has really suffered heavy losses and owes him a huge debt. Ding Guangxiang nodded heavily. Got it, boss. I'll get it done as soon as possible. After leaving Liang Fengshan's general manager's office, Ding Guangxiong did not immediately do what Liang Fengshan told him to do. Instead, he went to Jukin Sutaka's office on the first floor. As the deputy general manager of Fengshan Group, Jukin Sutaka's office was much smaller than Liang Fengshan's. The layout of the office was also much more stable than Liang Fengshan's. Jukin Sutaku was in the office processing documents. Ding Guangxiong saw out of the corner of his eye that most of the documents on Jukin Sutaku's office table were some statistics. Compared to Liang Fengshan, who only had the title of general manager, Jukin Sutaku, the deputy general manager, was much more competent. Ding Guangxiong knew that the entire Fengshan group was supported by Jukan Sutaku. Of course, the funds that Liang Fengshan had poached, as well as his deep political power, were indispensable. Except for these, Liang Fengshan really had nothing else to gain. Jukin Sutaku sat in front of his desk. When he saw Ding Guangxiong come in, he only slightly raised his eyelids to look at him, then continued to look at the documents on the table. He didn't even say a word. Ding Guangxiong, however, was not angry at all, and even said with a laugh, "Manager Shangguan, from now on, we are all working for the same company. We are all working under the boss. Please advise us." Jukin Sutaku was silent for a while and then said, "I am different from the things you are in charge of. I don't have any opportunities to work with you. As long as we do our jobs in the future, it will be fine. You don't need to get involved with me. Besides, you saved young Master Liang's life. Now you are the assistant of the general manager of the company. You are directly under young Master Liang. It can be said that you're above everyone else. If you really want to get into a relationship, I should be the one asking you. Manager Shangguan, you flatter me too much. I'm just a boorish person who hasn't graduated from junior high school. I can only make a living here because of the boss. How can I compare to someone like you, Manager Shangguan, who is a real person?" Ding Guangxiong smiled and said, "Oh, right. Manager Shangguan, are you free tonight? I booked a room at the Jinling Hotel. The manager of the sales department, technology department, human resources department, and a few branch factories will all be there." Jukin Sutaku frowned slightly. He looked at Ding Guangxiong meaningfully and said, "I didn't expect you to have a good relationship with the management of the company after only being here for a few days. Haha, actually, everyone thinks for the sake of the boss." Ding Guangxiong still had a smile on his face. Jukin Sutaku naturally knew that those people wanted to befriend Ding Guangxiong for the sake of Liang Fengshan. However, Ding Guangxiong was able to establish a relationship with the management within a few days. This was also a great talent. Other than the few management staff invited by Ding Guangxiong, the people from the finance department did not accept the invitation. Because the finance department was the most important department in the Fengshan group, it was directly in charge of Liang Fengshan, aunt of Liang Fengshan. With this layer of relationship, the finance department did not need to do anything unnecessary to form a bond with Ding Guangxiong. "Sorry, I still have an appointment tonight, so I won't be going." Jukin Sutaku tactfully rejected Ding Guangxiong's invitation. Ding Guangxiong's smile didn't change. "It's fine. It's fine. When I have time, I'll treat Manager Shangguan to a meal. If there's nothing else, I'll be leaving first. Bye." After Ding Guangxiong left, Jukin Sutaku frowned again. But after a while, he lowered his head to look at the documents, and the expression on his face returned to normal. On the other side, Zhou Hao took a plane from Hong Kong to Shanghai. Liang Xiaobing, Wang Weiwen, and the staff members related to the Sea King records were also there. Liang Xiaobing's album, Chronicles, was not only popular in both Hong Kong and Taiwan, but also very popular in the country. Sea King Records knew that the music industry in Hong Kong was getting fainter and fainter, and the market was getting smaller and smaller. Hence, it was necessary to expand north. China had the largest market, and Hong Kong superstars like Liu Dehua, Guo Fuqing, Dawn, and Wang Fei were also very popular in China. Thus, Sea King Records wanted to take advantage of Liang Xiaobing's album's popularity to allow Liang Xiaobing to expand the market in China. After asking Zhou Hao's opinion, the Sea King Records decided to let Liang Xiaobing hold a small concert in Shanghai as a test. If it was effective, they would let Liang Xiaobing do a tour around the country to earn as much popularity as possible in the country. In fact, there was also a branch department in the country that was in charge of the Polar North that Wang Zhongjuan, Wang Zhonglei, was in charge of. He took advantage of this opportunity to merge with the Ocean King Records and set up a subsidiary company that specialized in the distribution of records. When he heard that Zhou Hao was coming to Shanghai, Wang Zhongjuan, who happened to be in Shanghai with the matter of North Pole Star, personally came to receive him. Wang Zhongjuan was currently 37 years old and looked very ordinary. However, Zhou Hao knew that he was the kind of person who kept a low profile and did things in a calm and capable manner. As for the person who came with Wang Zhongjuan, And the person who came along with him was Lu Xiaomei, a mature and knowledgeable woman. Boss, we meet again. Wang Zhongjuan shook hands with Zhou Hao with a smile. He looked at Liang Xiaobing, who was beside him, and smiled sincerely. Miss Liang, you are much more beautiful in real life than in the mirror. My wife and I are both your fans. That Chronicles of yours is very nice. Liang Xiaobing quickly smiled and said, Mr. Wang, Mrs. Wang, you are too polite. Because she had decided to expand to the country a long time ago, and she had to sing Chronicles well, so Liang Xiaobing had been practicing the national language for the past few months. Now she had a certain standard. At least, it was much better than the cooking wintermelon with a strong Cantonese accent. After sitting in the company car, Zhou Hao asked Wang Zhongjuan, who was in the same car, where's big brother Zhonglei? Wang Zhongjuan smiled and said, I'm still talking about it. It's all because your boss is too mean. Zhonglei and I were busy in Hongdian because of that Kangxi dynasty. Zhonglei is still there, so I took the opportunity to slack off when I came to Shanghai. Zhonglei knew you came to Shanghai, so he asked me to tell you that he wanted you to pay us more. Zhou Hao did not back down and smiled. Come on. Now, both of you have 5% shares in Polar North. Although the company has not made any profit yet, we can't give you any dividends. However, the minimum annual salary of each of you is 30 million renminbi. That's quite a lot, isn't it? Look at that diamond ring on sister-in-law's hand. It's clearly showing off. When Lu Xiaomei heard that, she also revealed a proud expression on her face. She heard Wang Zhongjuan say, Speaking of which, I have to thank you, boss. Back then, when Zhonglei and I became Huai Advertising Company, we were nailed everywhere. Later, we couldn't even pay our employees' salaries. Zhonglei and I were about to give up. It's all thanks to you, boss, that we were able to have what we are today. When Zhou Hao heard this, he felt very awkward in his heart. According to the development of his previous life, although Wang Zhongjuan and Wang Zhonglei's Huai Advertising Company had encountered many setbacks in the early stages of development, the two brothers were united. In the end, Huai rose strongly and became the head of the domestic entertainment industry. Zhou Hao also took advantage of the fact that their careers were in a low state to poach North Pole Star to be the manager. Speaking of which, it should be Zhou Hao who cut off their future. Now, Wang Zhongjuan was sincerely thanking Zhou Hao for his guidance. Right, besides Kangxi Dynasty, the company should also invest in some movies. Zhou Hao changed the topic and said to Wang Zhongjuan, I will leave the specific matters to you and big brother Zhonglei. As long as it is a movie with potential, you can invest in it. I trust your judgment very much. Before this, Wang Zhongjuan and the others had only filmed some television dramas and had never tried to invest in movies. Therefore, when they heard Zhou Hao trust their judgment, they could not help feeling touched. They had the feeling of an ancient warrior dying for those who know themselves. Liang Xiaobing looked at the Shanghai scenery outside the window and said to Zhou Hao, Shanghai is developing really fast. It was not as prosperous as it is now 2 years ago. Shanghai is the biggest city in the country. Its development speed can be described as changing day and night. Zhou Hao's gaze drifted into the distance. After being reborn for more than a year, he finally came to the metropolis that was known as Dongfang Mingzhu. In his previous life, he came here to study and work. He left his youth and love in this metropolis and even his life here. Shanghai, one of the 4 immediate supermarkets, had long since been established by various powerful countries during the period of the Republic by the use of commercial ports, became the most prosperous city at that time. After the establishment of the country, Shanghai also relied on the financial and trade foundation accumulated from the Republic period to occupy the position of the largest city in the country. Until today, this Pearl of the East was still emitting a bright light. In his previous life, Zhou Hao was admitted to Fudan University in Shanghai. After that, he was introduced to Yellowstone Group by his friends. Until he died at the hands of Huang Wank and Zhong Ying, he had been living in Shanghai for a total of 10 years. Looking at the rapidly developing city outside the window, Zhou Hao felt a little emotional in his heart. Many of the buildings in his memory had yet to appear. Whether it was in his past or present life, Shanghai was a city that he was both familiar and unfamiliar with. Although he had lived in Shanghai for more than 10 years in his previous life, Zhou Hao still felt that he had not fully integrated into this city. How? I heard that Shanghai people are very vain and snobbish. Is that really the case? Liang Xiaobing, who was beside him, suddenly asked. Proud and snobbish? Zhou Hao smiled. There is indeed one thing that cannot be denied. Zhou Hao also knew that it was very hard for people in Shanghai to like them in normal situations. Most of them would become the object of ridicule. People in Shanghai were calculative. People in Shanghai looked down on foreign people. It was a place that people criticized. There was also the cowardice of the men in Shanghai and the vanity of the women in Shanghai. According to Zhou Hao's experience, he knew that it was very difficult for others to make Shanghai people suffer, but Shanghai people would not take advantage of others. This did not mean that Shanghai people had better morals than other people, but it was precisely because Shanghai people had developed a habit of speaking directly about personal interests for a long time. In terms of personal interests, they were not secretive about personal interests. In terms of personal interests, they could clearly distinguish between mine and yours. This reduced the possibility of them being at a disadvantage, and taking advantage of others was also more difficult to use. Over time, the Shanghai people paid more attention to rules and practical efficiency when doing things. Wang Zhongjuan, who was in front of them, said with a smile, "I think that although the people of Shanghai are calculative, they are more trustworthy in business. Once a contract is signed, it will be very difficult to change it. Such a person may not be good at making friends, but he is a very good business partner." Zhou Hao smiled at Liang Xiaobing and said, "Didn't you say that you came to Shanghai 2 years ago? You don't have any concept of Shanghai people?" Liang Xiaobing puckered her lips. "At that time, I only stayed for 2 days and left in a hurry. How would I have the chance to know Shanghai people? It was Wei Wen who told me that the Shanghai people are disgusting. He said that it was still better for the Hong Kong people to come to Shanghai. However, when he was shopping in Shanghai, he saw with his own eyes how the boss of a shop ridiculed the foreign workers. Thus, he had a very bad impression of the Shanghai people." Hearing this, Zhou Hao also shrugged his shoulders. Shanghai had been the #1 city in China for a long time. At this time, Shenzhen, which was still developing, did not have the strength to fight against Shanghai, so the people of Shanghai were usually very conceited. As a Shanghai person, they were proud of themselves. They thought that Shanghai was the only city, and other places were countryside. This could be said to be a bad habit of Shanghai people. When Zhou Hao first came to Shanghai in his previous life, he had also suffered in this aspect. Not long after, the group arrived at Shangri-La Hotel in Shanghai. Wang Zhongjuan had already booked a room in the name of North Pole Star for Zhou Hao and the staff of the Sea King Records to stay in. Although not many people knew about the relationship between Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing, otherwise, it would be very difficult for Liang Xiaobing to become a popular singer from an ordinary TV series artist. Even so, Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing did not share a room openly. However, it was unknown if Wang Zhongjuan had deliberately arranged for Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing's room to be opposite each other. Wang Zhongjuan also booked a business meeting room in the hotel as a place for the company's employees to discuss and work. After a short rest, the people of North Pole Star and the staff of the Sea King Records came to the business meeting room to discuss the merger of the North Pole Star Records and the Sea King Records, as well as Liang Xiaobing's concert. In fact, the merger of Polar Records with Sea King Records was not difficult because after the merger of the two departments, Sea King Records was still in charge of the port of the singers under the company, as well as the distribution of the records in the Asia-Pacific region. The Northern Pole Star Records branch was in charge of the distribution of the records within the country. If one wanted to change, it would only make the Northern Pole Star Records branch have the name Sea King. Of course, after the merger, although the two departments were separated from Hong Kong and China, the cooperation between them would continue to deepen. After discussing this matter, it was Liang Xiaobing's turn to attend the Shanghai concert. Regarding Xiaobing's concert this time, the company's decision is to hold it on the big stage in Shanghai. I have already reached an initial agreement with the relevant departments. Wang Zhongjuan said. One of the important things that he came to Shanghai this time was to help Liang Xiaobing settle the concert. Then, one of the managers of the Ocean King Records said to Zhou Hao, "For this concert, we are going to sell 16,000 tickets." Although the manager had a calm expression, there was an uncontrollable excitement in his eyes. This was because the Shanghai Grand Stage was located in more places than Hong Kong's Hongmeng Stadium, which was also known as the Hongmeng Stadium. One had to know that in Hong Kong, every singer's dream was to have a concert at the Hongmeng Stadium. Liang Xiaobing did not hold a concert at the Red Hall this time, but held a concert on the Shanghai Big Stage first. If it was done this time, Liang Xiaobing would be even more successful than holding a concert at the Red Hall. Sea King Records could also become famous in China. Originally, Xiaobing had only released one album in the national language, and there were only 12 songs in it. It was not enough to hold a concert. The manager of Sea King Records said, "However, according to Mr. Zhou's instructions this time, we plan to let Xiaobing sing a new song at the concert. We will also use the concert to promote it. After the concert, the company will release 2 new albums for Xiaobing in a row." After Liang Xiaobing released her first personal album, Chronicles, Sea King Records had already started to plan for her 2 new albums. The songwriters in the company were all working hard to compose songs for Liang Xiaobing. Zhou Hao also wrote a few songs for Liang Xiaobing, including Xiao Yixin's famous song, The Strongest Familiar, and Liang Jingru's famous song, Courage. In the past 2 months, Liang Xiaobing had trained hard for more than 20 songs and 2 new albums. Her hard work and effort made the people in the Sea King Records admire her. Wang Zhongjuan said to Zhou Hao, "Boss, if there are no problems, we can officially sell the tickets tomorrow." After Zhou Hao nodded, Wang Zhongjuan said to Liang Xiaobing, "The concert will be held 2 weeks later. There will be 3 matches the next day. During the time before the concert, Xiaobing, you can go to the big stage to rehearse." Liang Xiaobing asked nervously, "Do you need to rehearse?" Wang Zhongjuan and the manager of Sea King Records looked at Zhou Hao at the same time. Although they were responsible for this matter, the final decision was still in Zhou Hao's hands. Moreover, they were well aware of the relationship between Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing. Zhou Hao said, "There's no need to dance. Anyway, there are dancers accompanying you. It's already hard for you to sing. Plus dancing, how can you bear it?" Actually, Zhou Hao was not interested in those singers who sang and danced on the stage. In his opinion, a successful singer only needed to sing well. As the competition in the entertainment industry became more intense, many singers started to show themselves by dancing. Some even exposed themselves to increase the exposure. Furthermore, when Zhou Hao had watched those concerts in his previous life, he had seen the singers on stage sing while dancing. He knew that they were definitely fake singers. Otherwise, with such a large amount of exercise, unless they were experts in the internal qigong, they would not have the strength to sing. A real singer didn't need to express themselves in such a way. Liang Xiaobing was Zhou Hao's woman, so he naturally would not let Liang Xiaobing do those things that would attract attention. At the same time, with Zhou Hao's support, Liang Xiaobing did not need to change her style in the later stages like other singers. She would still maintain her reputation by walking the sexy path. As for the concert tickets, the lowest was 220 renminbi, and the highest was 1,200 renminbi. If this concert in Shanghai succeeded, Liang Xiaobing would perform a tour around the country. After discussing these matters, Zhou Hao called Song Jiahao from the Galaxy Investment Company in Hong Kong and asked, "Jiahao, have you settled the accounts of the company?" "Boss, it's done. According to your request, the account showed that our company had lost 487 billion Hong Kong dollars in the past half year's investment." Song Jiahao said. Zhou Hao nodded. You did well. Then, do as I said before and find an opportunity to leak this account." After saying this to Song Jiahao, Zhou Hao dialed another number. "Hello, I am Dai Jiawen, the head of the Coca-Cola Company's headquarters in China. May I know who you are?" A male voice came from the other side of the phone. Zhou Hao smiled and said, "Dai Jiawen, I'm Zhou Hao. Someone from my company is looking for you." At night, Zhou Hao brought Liang Xiaobing to the Hongqiao Sheraton Pacific Hotel. Zhou Hao was still dressed in a casual suit, while Liang Xiaobing was wearing a light green chiffon shirt and a sky blue dress. She looked very dignified. Following the waiter to the reserved room, Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing saw that there was already a man in a light gray suit waiting in the room. It was Dai Jiawen, who had been invited by Zhou Hao. "President Dai. Hello. We are late." Zhou Hao greeted him with a smile. It's fine. It's just that I came early." Dai Jiawen immediately stood up and shook hands with Zhou Hao. Dai Jiawen was appointed as the chairman of the Coca-Cola Company in China 2 years ago, and he was only 40 years old now. He was considered a very successful person. With Dai Jiawen's efforts, the Coca-Cola Company's sales in the China market had increased by 10% over the past 2 years. In many places, the state-owned beverage industry, due to various shortcomings, they could not compete with the Coca-Cola Company. The share in the beverage market in China was getting smaller and smaller. At first, Dai Jiawen did not treat those state-owned beverage companies as real competitors. In his eyes, the only thing that could compete with Coca-Cola was only Coke. In fact, in recent years, the beverage market in China had become the battlefield of the 2 most famous beverage groups in the world. Both sides were fighting fiercely, creating a storm of blood on the beverage market. If Coca-Cola could unify the beverage market in China, Dai Jiawen would become the most powerful candidate to compete for the position of the CEO of Coca-Cola headquarters. From the day he became the CEO of China, Dai Jiawen had tried his best. This was also the main reason why Coca-Cola had been occupying more and more market share in the past 2 years. However, just as the fight between Coca-Cola and Pepsi was in full swing, the rise of Tianhe attracted the attention of both companies. In fact, before the launch of Orange Fruit, the 2 companies had heard of Sky River. Because before Oranges and Oranges, Zhao Yuqin had already followed Zhou Hao's plan and made the mineral water produced by Sky River become the designated drinking water for every sports competition in the country. Originally, Coca-Cola and Pepsi intended to publicize their products through the sports competitions in China. However, as soon as they arrived, both companies did not implement this plan in time because of other promotional plans. Secondly, promoting through sports competitions is not something that can be achieved with money. They also needed strong connections. In this aspect, even though the spokesperson of Coca-Cola and Pepsi in China was very powerful in politics, but compared to the Zhao family, it was still a lot worse. In this way, Zhao Yuqin had already taken over most of the sports competitions that she had come to China this year. This made Sky River water become famous in the sports world first. It was also at this time that Coca-Cola and Coke heard the name Sky River for the first time. After that, the orange fruits swept across the entire China like an orange whirlwind, making Sky River brand even more popular throughout the country. Although fruit juice drinks were different from carbonated drinks, Coca-Cola and Pepsi had long been interested in the market for fruit juice drinks, so they attached great importance to the rise of Sky River. Oranges and oranges successfully occupied more than half of the juice beverage market in China. Coca-Cola made a prompt decision and quickly sent people to negotiate with Sky River and proposed to buy Sky River. However, even though Dai Jiaowen offered a very high price, Sky River still refused their offer. So, later on, when Dai Jiaowen heard that the Fengshan Group had introduced more than a dozen fruits that were about the same size as orange grains, he also sued Heavenly River for occupying their assets, and he even took pleasure in their misfortune. However, although Fresh Orange had taken up a lot of the market that originally belonged to the orange and orange category, orange was still the most popular beverage in the current juice beverage market in China. Coca-Cola and Pepsi were all coveting it. Mr. Zhou, this is the Dead Happy champagne that has just been shipped from France. Try it. A waiter immediately poured champagne into Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing's cups. The sweet taste of champagne immediately drifted in the air. Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing both picked up the cups. Zhou Hao smiled at Dai Jia and said, "President Dai, you are too polite." After tasting the world-famous Dead Happy champagne, Dai Jia immediately smiled at Zhou Hao and said, "Mr. Zhou, your Heavenly River has already rejected our proposal to buy it. Why did you invite me here this time? Did you change your mind?" Actually, when Dai Jiaowen found out that the owner of the Heavenly River was a young man less than 20 years old, he was surprised for a long time. However, after he asked around and found out that Zhou Hao was Zhao Rixin's godson, he felt relieved. Because in China, there were indeed some high-level leaders' sons and daughters who were doing business. After all, they had a powerful political power as their backing. It was much easier to achieve commercial success than ordinary people. Zhou Hao shook his head and said with a smile, "I don't intend to sell the Sky River. At least not at this stage." "Mr. Zhou, the reason you asked me to come here is..." Dai Jia was confused. "Do you want to work with our company?" "You can say that too," Zhou Hao said. "Although I don't plan to sell the Sky River, I plan to sell the orange fruit formula." Zhou Hao's words shocked Dai Jiaowen. He frowned and said, "Mr. Zhou, you want to sell the orange fruit formula?"
Yes.
Zhou Hao said, "To be honest, the reason why you Coca-Cola wanted to buy my Heavenly River was because you wanted the orange formula. Now, I might as well sell the formula of the orange and orange fruits to you. Isn't it just as you wish?" Zhou Hao's decision did tempt Dai Jiaowen, because after Tianhe rejected their offer, in order to get the formula of the orange fruit, they sent a commercial spy organization to sneak into Tianhe and steal the formula of the orange fruit. In other words, it was the Black Widow and Rat. However, up until now, the Black Widow and the others had yet to steal the orange fruit formula. This caused the Coca-Cola side to become very anxious. "President Dai, what do you mean?" Zhou Hao urged. Dai Jia thought for a moment and said, "Then if you want to sell the orange formula, what is the price?" Zhou Hao stretched out 4 fingers and said indifferently, 4 billion. Dai Jiaowen's expression changed, and he immediately shook his head and said, "Impossible. President Dai, don't reject it yet. I'm not talking about USD, I'm talking about RMB." Zhou Hao smiled. Dai Jiawu glanced at Zhou Hao and thought, of course it wasn't USD. $4 billion could buy 4 to 5 companies on the scale of Sky River. Zhou Hao smiled again and said, "As the saying goes, if President Dai is not satisfied with the price, he will return the money on the spot. You can just tell us the number that you think is appropriate, so that we can have a room to negotiate." "At most 1 billion. Dai Jiawen thought for a bit and said, "President Dai, you are too insincere." The smile on Zhou Hao's face faded. "Our profits from orange fruits in a year is also not just this amount," Dai Jiawen said with a bitter smile. "Mr. Zhou, You have to understand the hardships of our company. Although our Coca-Cola company is a global company, but the turnover of each fund is very strict. Furthermore, the Fengshan Group in Jiangsu has also launched the same orange juice as the orange fruit. Although you won this lawsuit, even if we buy the orange juice formula, we still have to compete with the Fengshan Group. We need to invest more money. Zhou Hao was silent for a while. Liang Xiaobing, who was beside him, helped him add some wine. President Dai, you are also from China. Do you know what kind of people think the strongest in China? Zhou Hao suddenly asked. Dai Jiawen was stunned for a moment. He thought of the reason Zhou Hao asked him to come this time and said tentatively, You mean, the concept of first impressions? Zhou Hao was very impressed by Dai Jiawen's agility. He smiled and said, President Dai, you are right. The concept of first impressions in China is very strong. This is especially true when it comes to spending money. Although Fresh Orange is the same type of product as our Orange and Orange products, since our Orange and Orange products are very well publicized when we promote them to the market in a short period of time, we have occupied most of the juice beverage market, so we know that so far. Orange is still the most popular product in the domestic juice beverage market. Without waiting for Dai Jiawen to speak, Zhou Hao said again, You know, the Wireless Television Limited in Hong Kong what? Before Dai Jiawen could speak, Zhou Hao asked again, Do you know why the Wireless Television Limited in Hong Kong has been able to suppress the Asia Television Limited for so many years? This was something the Asia Television Limited could not compare with. If it wasn't for the fact that the Wireless Television Limited made the wrong decision, I believe it wouldn't have been so easy for the Asia Television Limited to rise up. Hearing Zhou Hao's words, Dai Jiawen couldn't help but nod his head. In his heart, he agreed with Zhou Hao's opinion. However, if Dai Jiawen knew that the Asia Television Limited was also under Zhou Hao's banner, he didn't know how he would react. At this moment, Dai Jiawen thought of another question and asked Zhou Hao, Mr. Zhou, since your orange fruits are so competitive, why are you selling them to us? Well, Zhou Hao looked at Liang Xiaobing, who was beside him. Dai Jia saw that he seemed to have something to hide, so he smiled and said, Mr. Zhou, although we are not friends, we should have many opportunities to work together in the future. If you have any difficulties, just say it. As long as I can help, I will definitely not stand idly by. Zhou Hao showed a grateful expression and said to Dai Jiawen, President Dai, thank you so much. Sigh, I won't hide it from you. Actually, there were some problems with the other businesses I invested in, which caused the capital in my hands to be unable to turn around. That's why I had to sell the orange fruit formula for emergencies. Hearing Zhou Hao's words, Dai Jia instantly understood. No wonder Zhou Hao was in such a hurry to sell the orange fruit formula for cash. However, he also thought that Zhou Hao would have the support of Zhao family. If his investment failed, he would need money to make a turnaround. With the Zhao family's ability, he should be able to solve the problem easily. However, this might involve the secrets of Zhou Hao and the Zhao family, so Dai Jiawen couldn't ask any further. He could only suppress the curiosity in his heart. Furthermore, since he knew that Zhou Hao was in a hurry to find out the truth, even if Dai Jiawen had the initiative, he would have an advantageous position in the negotiation of the orange and fruit formula. Sure enough, Zhou Hao said, President Dai, since you know my difficulties, can you? Mr. Zhou, it's not that I don't want to help you. However, although I am the director of the company in China, I have no right to decide on an investment of more than 1 billion yuan. When he heard Dai Jiawen's words, Zhou Hao sneered in his heart. With Dai Jia's status as the president of China's Coca-Cola company, the funds he could decide were definitely more than 1 billion yuan. 1 billion was more like it. However, Zhou Hao did not show anything on his face. Instead, he said with a pleading tone, President Dai, can you help me with the price? If this matter is settled, I will definitely thank you, President Dai. He deliberately increased the tone of the word thank to Dai Jiawen. Clearly, he would repay Dai Jiawen. Dai Jiawen thought for a moment. How about 1.5 billion? Mr. Zhou, this is already a very high price. Zhou Hao shook his head and said, No, President Dai, I won't beat around the bush. My bottom line is 2.5 billion. Seeing that Dai Jiawen wanted to refuse, he said again, President Dai, if you don't accept this price, then forget it. I can only talk to the department store. I believe they are also interested in the formula of orange fruit. Hearing that Zhou Hao wanted to look for the person who wanted the Coke, Dai Jiawen's expression changed. Coke was the biggest competitor in Coca-Cola. If they bought the formula of the orange fruit grain, they would definitely compete with Coca-Cola in the market. Moreover, even if the orange fruit had more than orange, according to Dai Jia's estimation, the orange fruit still had 3 to 4 years of peak sales. With the annual profits of 1.5 to 2 billion, Coca-Cola could at least make 4.5 5 billion renminbi on the orange fruit. How should he calculate it? This was not a business that was at a disadvantage. Moreover, if Coke got the formula of orange fruit, not to mention the market profits, Coca-Cola would lose to Coke in terms of morale and face. This was something that headquarters did not want to see. Daijai's position would also drop a lot. Therefore, after weighing the pros and cons, Daijiawan said to Zhou Hao, "All right, Mr. Zhou. I can accept the price of 2.5 billion yuan. However, I need you to sign a contract." "What contract?" Zhou Hao asked. Daijiawan said seriously, "You can't produce fruit beverages in the future." Zhou Hao knew that Daijiawan wanted to completely control the market of fruit beverages. He thought for a while. He nodded and answered, "No problem. But I also have a condition, which is that 2.5 billion must be transferred to the account within a week." "President Dai, can you do that?" Daijiawan extended his right hand to Zhou Hao and said with a smile, "Mr. Zhou, let's have a pleasant cooperation." After a detailed discussion, Zhou Hao left with Liang Xiaobing. Daijia instantly made the deal and happily stayed here. She wanted to eat before leaving. At that moment, the phone in his arms rang. When he saw the number on the phone, he frowned because the number belonged to the Black Widow. "Hello, I am Daijiawan." He placed the phone beside his ear. "Mr. Dai, I am the Black Widow." A female voice came through the phone. Daijiawan's tone was unfriendly. "I know it's you, Humph. Humph, you still have the nerve to call me? Do you know that if you can get the orange fruit formula back, our company won't need to pay more than 2 billion? The Black Widow on the other side had been scolded for no reason and was naturally somewhat angry. However, she did not dare to argue back with Daijia and could only say, "Mr. Dai, they are very strict with the security of the laboratory. We tried a few times, but were unable to enter. However, Mr. Dai, we have found something else. We were just about to report it to you." Daijiawan said indifferently, "What is it?" "Mr. Dai," Daijiawan said, "are Zhou Hao and the others going to sell you the orange fruit formula?"
Yes.
The Black Widow asked. "You agreed?" Daijia instantly said, "Yeah, what's wrong? Is there something fishy?" "We found out that Zhou Hao seemed to have failed in his investment business and owes billions of dollars in debt." "I already know that. He sold the formula of orange fruit to our company for cash," Daijiawu said. Then he heard the Black Widow say, "It's not that simple. We found out that Heavenly River has developed a new type of drink, but we still don't know what it is. However, according to our speculation, once this drink is introduced to the market, it will definitely bring a huge profit, which is even better than orange fruits. The people of Tianhe seem to be very confident in this. According to our investigation and speculation, Zhou Hao didn't sell the orange fruit formula to pay off his debt. It's to raise funds to mass-produce that new beverage and then pay off the huge profits brought by that new beverage." When Daijiawu heard this, he was shocked. He muttered to himself, "So you mean that the 2 billion is not enough for Zhou Hao to pay off his debt? His real purpose is to produce that new drink?" "According to our investigation, that is the truth," the Black Widow said. Hearing the Black Widow's words and recalling the scene of Zhou Hao negotiating with him, Daijiawan could not help but say, TSK, Zhou Hao, this fellow is really scheming. I thought that he sold the orange fruit formula just for the capital." Thinking of this, he could not help but ask the Black Widow, "Black Widow, is your information accurate?" Although he did not dare to talk back to Daijiawan, the Black Widow's voice was still filled with dissatisfaction. "Mr. Dai, if you do not trust us, then we can officially terminate our partnership with your company." This time, Daijiawan did not dare to be stubborn. This was because the Black Widow, a small commercial spy organization, had already collaborated with Coca-Cola a few times and had a good relationship with the headquarters. He still had a place to borrow them. Thus, he immediately explained, "Don't misunderstand. It's not that I don't trust you. It's just that this matter is not to be trifled with. I need to think about it carefully." Zhou Hao's expression and tone just now appeared in his mind. He felt that although Zhou Hao was young, his scheming was not to be underestimated. Previously, when he saw that Zhou Hao wanted to say something but hesitated to say something, as if he had something difficult to say, Daijiawan firmly believed that he was in a hurry to make a discovery because his investment had failed. Thus, he followed Zhou Hao's train of thought to buy the formula for the orange fruit grain. When he thought about how he had just thought that he had taken the initiative, now, it seemed that he had completely fallen into Zhou Hao's line of thought and had always been led by his nose. Although buying the formula of orange fruit was beneficial and harmless to Coca-Cola, when he thought about how he had been fooled by a young man like Zhou Hao along the way, he felt depressed. If Coca-Cola had not buried the Black Widow and the others in the Sky River, he would not have known. Black Widow, How much does Zhou Hao and the rest need to produce that new beverage on a large scale? Dai Jia asked instantly. I estimate it to be around 2 billion renminbi, and he also borrowed a sum of money from the bank. It should be enough for him to mass-produce it. Dai Jiawen secretly cursed. So that's how it is. He even said that the minimum limit is 2.5 billion, so it is to raise production funds. At this moment, he heard the Black Widow whisper, Mr. Dai, we have also found out one more thing. However, we are not sure if it is true or not. What is it? Hurry up and say it. Before we went to Shanghai, Zhou Hao seemed to have met with China's CEO, Zhu Huaxi, in Hong Kong. The Black Widow said, we do not know the details of their conversation. However, we speculate that Zhou Hao and Zhu Huaxi are talking about the sale of the entire Sky River. That is because Zhou Hao brought the Sky River appraisal report with him. What? Dai Jiawen could not sit still this time. He did not expect Zhou Hao to have the intention to sell the entire Heavenly River. The Black Widow said, we speculated that Zhou Hao was afraid that the new beverage would not be able to bring enough profit in a short period of time for him to pay off his debts and cash flow. So he deliberately left a way out. Dai Jiawen understood what the Black Widow meant. Zhou Hao owed a huge amount of money. On the one hand, he planned to raise funds to produce the new beverage developed by Sky River by selling the formula of the orange fruit. He wanted to use the huge profits brought by the new beverage to pay off his debt. However, who could guarantee that the new beverage would be popular among consumers? Therefore, Zhou Hao had prepared a backup plan in advance. He met with Zhu Huaxi of the Pepsi company and expressed his intention to sell Heavenly River. If the Coke really bought the Sky River, Zhou Hao would be able to raise a large amount of money in a short period of time, and he would be able to pay off the huge debt he owed. According to Dai Jiawen's estimation, even if the formula of the orange fruit was sold, the Sky River still had a large mineral water production base in Jingyu County. Dai Jiawen knew that the rights to the mineral water in Jingyu County were all in the hands of Tianhe, and now the market for mineral water was getting bigger and bigger. Just the mineral water resources of Jingyu County were worth billions of RMB. Adding the factory and production equipment of Heavenly River, the total value should be between 6 billion to 8 billion RMB. Moreover, if Pepsi really agreed to purchase Sky River, other than looking at the mineral spring resources of Jingyu County, it would also be very confident in the new beverages developed by Sky River. After all, Coke was like Coca-Cola, and it would not make a loss. Thus, Dai Jiawen said to the Black Widow, quickly go and investigate the situation of Zhou Hao's investment failure. Also, the new beverages developed by the Sky River. I want to know what it is. It would be even better if you could get the formula. Pausing, he promised the Black Widow, if you can obtain the formula, I can represent the company and give you $20 million in remuneration. $20 million? The Black Widow cried out in alarm. That's right, it's $20 million. As long as you can get the formula for the new drink. Although Dai Jiawen said that, he was sneering in his heart. How could a mere $20 million be compared to a beverage that could tempt the heart of a Pepsi? After ending the call with the Black Widow, Dai Jia thought about it. First of all, whether or not Zhou Hao really wanted to sell Sky River to the Pepsi Coke, he had to first buy the formula for the orange fruit grain. Then, he would deal with this matter. In fact, he knew that his company was also interested in Sky River, even without the new beverage. The spring water in Jingyu County was also a piece of fat meat. He could not let it fall into the mouth of a Pepsi. After Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing left the Sheraton Hotel, Liang Xiaobing asked him, How? Do you really owe a lot of money for your business? In my account, I may not be able to help much, but you can take it and use it. The album of Chronicles was sold at a high price, and her dividend was more than 10 million. Originally, the record company would not give too much dividends to a new singer like her. But because she was the woman of the big boss behind the scenes, Zhou Hao, Sea King Records did not dare to deduct anything from her. They even secretly treated Liang Xiaobing as their lady boss. Adding the money that Zhou Hao transferred to her account previously, Liang Xiaobing's current account had a total of 70 to 80 million HKD. Because what she used to eat now was the Sea King Records reimbursement, there was also the nanny car provided by the Sea King Records, and she lived with Su Lin in the half-mountain villa in Hong Kong. So her daily life did not have much spending, and the money in her account had not been moved much. Just now, she heard Zhou Hao tell Dai Jia that the capital flow of her failed investment was not working, so she was very anxious. However, Dai Jia was also present at that time, so it was not convenient for her to ask Zhou Hao about it. Silly girl, who am I? I have been investing for so long, but I have never failed before. Zhou Hao laughed loudly. What I said just now is not true. You don't have to take it to heart. Those are just some of my business skills. Liang Xiaobing curled her lips and hit Zhou Hao. Then you didn't tell me in advance. You made me worry for a long time. Hee hee. It's my fault this time. It won't be like this next time. Zhou Hao said. Liang Xiaobing looked at the bustling night scene in Shanghai and smiled. The last time I came to Shanghai, I only passed by in a hurry and didn't take a good look around. Since I'm free today, you can accompany me for a stroll. Zhou Hao naturally wouldn't reject her request. Thus, he held her hand and started strolling along the streets of Shanghai. Although Shanghai was very different from Zhou Hao's previous life, where many buildings didn't exist, compared to the newcomers, Zhou Hao was more familiar with Shanghai and knew some snacks and delicacies that were hidden in the corners of the streets. In a short while, Liang Xiaobing was already holding a bag of dumplings and various snacks in her hands. Fortunately, it was late at night, and she was walking on the inner side of the street. Zhou Hao was blocking her outside, so no one recognized her. Otherwise, the photos of the new popular singer Liang Xiaobing wolfing down food on the street would have been posted in all the major entertainment magazines. On the other hand, the tall and handsome Zhou Hao attracted the attention of many Shanghai girls, and the number of people who turned back was even higher than some beautiful girls. As they strolled around, Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing suddenly saw a group of people in front of them, pointing and discussing amongst themselves. Curious, the two of them walked over. When they entered the crowd, Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing saw that it was a store that sold bags. A medium-sized boy, about 18 or 19 years old, with tattered clothes, was standing in front of the store with his head lowered. There was a card hanging on his neck with a few black words written on it. I'm a thief. I deserve to die. A fat middle-aged man was cursing at the boy with a face full of shame. It seemed that he was the owner of this restaurant. The fat boss spoke Shanghai. Liang Xiaobing could not understand him at all. However, looking at the twitching muscles on his face, she knew that what he said was definitely not good words. Zhou Hao had lived in Shanghai for 10 years in his previous life. Even if he did not know how to speak Shanghai, he could understand it. He heard the boss constantly scolding the boy. There were no lack of words such as rotten b*tch, longevity head, hillbilly, or 13 points. It was unknown whether the boy could understand the scolding words of the fat boss, but he kept his head down. His face was full of shame and humiliation. There were still tears in his eyes, but he held back his tears. How? Why did that boss want him to hang a sign on his chest? Even if he stole his things, call the police. That's right, there's no need to insult him like this. Liang Xiaobing could not stand what that fat boss did. Zhou Hao also could not stand it, so he let go of Liang Xiaobing's hand and walked up to the boy and the fat boss. He said to the fat boss, "Did he steal your things?" The fat boss saw Zhou Hao suddenly walk out as if he wanted to stand up for the thief, so he couldn't help looking at Zhou Hao from head to toe. Then he heard Zhou Hao say, "Even if he stole your things, you can't insult her like this. This is illegal, you know?" The fat boss was stunned for a moment and then replied, "Gu na sai. What does that have to do with you?" Zhou Hao ignored him and turned to ask the boy, "What did you steal from him?" The boy looked at Zhou Hao and hesitated for a moment before saying, I took 2 buns from his shop." He explained anxiously, "My mother is sick. She hasn't eaten anything all day, and I don't have any money on me. I just want to borrow 2 buns. When I have money, I will definitely return it." Hearing his Northeast accent, Zhou Hao knew that this boy was from the Northeast. Zhou Hao also intuitively felt that he was not lying. Although no one would believe him if he said that he only wanted to lend 2 buns to his mother to eat, Zhou Hao knew that his intuition was not wrong. You should believe me. What I said is true." The boy said to Zhou Hao. The tears that he had been holding back earlier were now gushing out. Zhou Hao patted his shoulder and took the card off his neck. When the fat boss saw Zhou Hao's actions, he immediately cursed. "What do you want to do? You son of a b*t. How much did he take your 2 buns for?" Zhou Hao looked at him and asked. $5. The fat boss said. Zhou Hao took out a $100 bill and handed it to the fat boss. The fat boss was stunned for a moment and wanted to find money to give to Zhou Hao. Just like what Zhou Hao had said, Shanghai people would not take advantage of others, but they would not take advantage of others either. However, Zhou Hao stopped the fat boss and said lightly, "My friend just said that he borrowed those 2 buns from you. The extra money will be considered interest." Hearing what Zhou Hao said, the fat boss stopped looking for money. He turned around and wanted to go back to the store, but was stopped by Zhou Hao. "Wait, since I have already returned the money to you on behalf of my friend, he can't be considered a thief anymore. Besides, what you did to him just now was a misuse of your punishment, and you violated my friend's dignity. This is against the law." Zhou Hao took out his phone and was about to call the police. When the fat boss saw that Zhou Hao wanted to call the police, his facial expression changed. He reached out and grabbed Zhou Hao's hand and said, "Friend, what do you want?" "Let the police handle this matter." Zhou Hao said matter-of-factly, "You violated my friend's dignity. This is not allowed by the law. Of course, the police will handle it. Friend, leave a line and everything. It will be easier for us to meet in the future." The fat on the fat boss's face twitched. "Okay." Zhou Hao narrowed his eyes and smiled. "It's fine if you don't call the police, but you should wear this plate for a while. It says, 'I won't dare to insult other people's dignity in the future.'" When he heard Zhou Hao's words, the fat boss was stunned. The surrounding people were also laughing because many of them were foreigners. Although the fat boss was scolding a boy, his words were full of mockery towards foreigners, which made these people hate him. The fat boss stared at Zhou Hao and said through gritted teeth, "Friend, don't go too far. That's good. Call the police. It would be best if the police handle it." Zhou Hao said indifferently. The fat boss's face was very ugly. He knew the character of the local police. Regardless of whether he was in the right or not, in the end, he would be stripped of a lot of money by the police. Even his business might be affected. This was not worth it. After thinking for a while, he gritted his teeth and nodded. "Okay, I'll wear it." Then, he took out a card and wrote on it, "I won't dare to insult other people's dignity anymore in the future." He put it on his neck, which made the surrounding people laugh. Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing looked at each other and smiled. The boy from the Shandong province who was insulted by the fat boss just now saw the fat boss like this and couldn't bear it. He wanted to beg Zhou Hao to let the fat boss go, but Zhou Hao pulled him out of the crowd before he could say anything. After Zhou Hao and the others left, the fat boss immediately took off his plate and returned to his shop. He didn't dare to come out to see anyone. Liang Xiaobing also returned to Zhou Hao's side and said to this unattractive and honest boy, "You too? How can you let that guy treat you like this? You should resist." When the boy suddenly saw Liang Xiaobing, such a beautiful and charming woman, his cheeks immediately turned red. Fortunately, his skin was darker. Otherwise, he would have looked like a big red apple. Zhou Hao asked, "By the way, what's your name?" "My name is Zhang Daniu, and even my mother calls me Daniu." Zhang Daniu said to Zhou Hao with a hoarse voice, "Benefactor, you should also call me Daniu. Thank you for what you did just now." When he heard the boy called Zhang Daniu call him benefactor, Liang Xiaobing, who was beside him, kept giggling. When Zhang Daniu saw Liang Xiaobing's coquettish appearance, his face turned even redder. He immediately lowered his head, not daring to look at Liang Xiaobing. It did not mean that Zhang Daniu had any improper thoughts about Liang Xiaobing. It was just that he rarely interacted with the opposite sex. Plus, he had a shy and honest personality, which caused him to be bashful and shy in front of a beauty like Liang Xiaobing. You better not call me benefactor. It sounds awkward. Just now, I also said that you were my friend. You can call me Zhou Hao." Zhou Hao smiled at Zhang Daniu and said, "Are you willing to make friends with me?" Zhang Daniu heard what Zhou Hao said and felt flattered. "This, benefactor, am I worthy of making friends with you?" Because after coming to Shanghai, he and his mother had been rolled in the eyes. He felt that this place that was filled with skyscrapers was far less comfortable than his hometown. At least making friends in the countryside was much easier than making friends in this city. Moreover, the relationship between friends was sincere and had no interest at all. When Zhou Hao heard Zhang Daniu's words, he also knew that he did not have a good life in Shanghai, so he said sincerely, "There is no such thing as a friend that is not worthy of it. Don't tell me you need a proper family to make friends." Zhang Daniu was very touched by Zhou Hao's words. Tears almost fell out of his eyes. "By the way," Zhou Hao said, "you just said that your mother was sick and hadn't eaten for a day. Let's quickly take her to the hospital to take a look." Zhou Hao said, "Okay, Zhou Hao, thank you so much." Zhang Daniu wiped his eyes and said. Therefore, Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing got on the taxi and asked Zhang Daniu to lead them to his place. They soon arrived at a low-rise residential area. The environment and traffic here were far from comparable to the public center, and most of the people who came and went here were foreign laborers. It seemed that this was the slums of Shanghai. Under Zhang Daniu's lead, Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing passed through dark and winding alleys and finally arrived at a dark and damp small house. This small house had 2 floors, about 150 square meters, and in this small house with 2 floors, there were close to 20 people living there. Zhang Daniu and his mother lived in a room on the first floor that was separated by wooden planks. In this kind of environment, Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing, who were dressed well, seemed out of place. The other residents in the house looked at them strangely, but they did not take the initiative to talk to them. In the same house, Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing were like people from two different worlds. Finally, Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing saw Zhang Daniu's mother, a thin, middle-aged woman. Her face was sallow, and she was unconscious with her eyes closed. Zhou Hao frowned and said to Zhang Daniu, "Your mother's condition is not good. She is still having a fever." Zhang Daniu's face was sad. He fondled the hair in front of his mother's forehead lovingly. "Yesterday, I borrowed a medicine from a pharmacy outside to brew it for my mother, but she did not seem to have gotten any better." Liang Xiaobing also said, "How can you randomly let your mother take the medicine? What if she takes the wrong medicine? Come, let's take your mother to the hospital," Zhou Hao said. Zhang Daniu looked at Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing, then nodded and carried his mother on his back. After that, the group of people arrived at the hospital. The doctor who treated Zhang Mu's mother was an old doctor. After a while, he told Zhang Daniu and Zhou Hao that Zhang Mu's mother had a cold and was malnourished, causing her body to become weak. Her condition also became more and more serious. Fortunately, Mother Zhang's life was not in danger. All she needed to do was to take good care of her. After hearing the old doctor's words, Zhang Daniu heaved a long sigh of relief. Liang Xiaobing went out to pay for Mother Zhang's consultation and medical fees, while Zhou Hao and Zhang Daniu stayed in the ward to accompany the unconscious Mother Zhang. "Zhou Hao, I really don't know how to thank you and Miss Liang," Zhang Daniu said gratefully. "When I have the money, I will definitely return those medical expenses to you." Zhou Hao shook his head. "If you treat me as a friend, don't say that." Through the conversation, Zhou Hao knew that Zhang Daniu and Zhang Mu were farmers in a mountain village in Shandong. As for Zhang Daniu's father, he was killed by a tractor on the way home when Zhang Daniu was 7 years old. After that, Mother Zhang and Zhang Daniu relied on each other to survive. The mother and son worked hard to maintain the 10 acres of land at home and lived a tough life. However, later on, the village sold the land of the Zhang family to a real estate developer privately. It was only a symbolic compensation of 2,000 yuan for the Zhang family. They could not live in the village, and Zhang Daniu heard people say that the big city was full of gold. It was very easy to make a fortune. In order to feed his mother, Zhang Daniu brought his mother to Shanghai. However, Shanghai wasn't as full of gold as he had imagined. Furthermore, even if Zhang Daniu wanted to work, because he did not have a temporary residence permit and other documents, he was rejected many times by the factory. Not long after, the money Zhang Daniu brought with him had been used up, and Zhang Mu's mother was sick again. There was no other way. Only then did Zhang Daniu go to the restaurant where the fat boss kept the buns to feed Zhang Mu's mother. After listening to Zhang Daniu's story, Zhou Hao felt very emotional. Not to mention at this time, even after more than 10 years, the conflicts between the farmers and the city were very sharp. The farmers wanted to find shelter in the city and fight for a place for themselves, but the city needed the labor of the farmers. On the other hand, there was always an invisible resistance against these migrant workers who had built a large scale for the city. Very quickly, Liang Xiaobing returned after paying the money. Zhou Hao asked her to stay here to accompany Zhang Mu, and said to Zhang Daniu, "Daniu, follow me." Zhang Daniu did not understand. However, he still followed Zhou Hao out without hesitation. Zhou Hao brought Zhang Daniu to a corner of the parking lot behind the hospital. Most of the parking lot was filled with bicycle, and there were only a few Santana cars. The old guard in his 60s was reading the newspaper there. Due to the angle, he could not see Zhou Hao. "Zhou Hao, what's the matter?" Zhang Daniu asked. Zhou Hao didn't answer. He suddenly waved his fist at Zhou Hao, producing a whistling sound. When Zhang Daniu saw Zhou Hao attacking him without any warning, he turned pale with fright. However, when Zhou Hao's fist was about to hit his chest, he had already dodged to the side. His steps seemed to have a profound sense of order. Zhou Hao didn't stop at all. He used the divine ape arm from the Five Birds play. Then, he spread his arms, intending to clamp Zhang Daniu in place. Behind Zhang Daniu was the wall. Furthermore, Zhou Hao was rushing forward ferociously, and it was already too late for him to dodge. Zhang Daniu raised both of his hands and unleashed the Arhat embracing the moon, firmly blocking Zhou Hao's attack. "Zhou Hao, what are you doing? Why are you hitting me?" Zhang Daniu was still baffled by Zhou Hao's sudden action. "Nonsense novel, take another attack from me." Zhou Hao's move changed again. Divine Ape Arm suddenly changed into Fierce Tiger out of the forest and went straight for Zhang Daniu's heart. Helpless, Zhang Daniu could only fight back with all his might and throw out a simple punch. Zhou Hao and Zhang Daniu struck each other with both hands, producing a dull sound of flesh colliding. Zhou Hao's feet did not move, but Zhang Daniu was pushed back by the huge impact. When he hit the wall behind him, the wall immediately caved in. Zhang Daniu only felt that his right fist, which was hit by Zhou Hao, was numb and painful. He could not help but say, "Zhou Hao, you have such great strength. Could it be that you have also practiced the Divine Ox striking fist? Divine Ox Punch?" Zhou Hao guessed that Zhang Daniu must have used this martial art, but the name of this martial art was a little funny. Actually, Zhou Hao had already known that Zhang Daniu had martial arts when he first saw him. However, even though he was insulted, he still did not use his martial arts to bully ordinary people, which made Zhou Hao want to make friends with him. Zhang Daniu also saw that Zhou Hao's martial arts was higher than his, so he did not have his previous concerns. He used his right hand to attack Zhou Hao's face. Zhou Hao did not dare to underestimate Zhang Daniu's simple attack. He used his palm to block the attack. When Zhang Daniu's fist landed on Zhou Hao's palm, Zhou Hao felt that although he had blocked it, a thick and condensed genuine aura seeped out from Zhang Daniu's fist, from Zhou Hao's palm all the way to his left arm. Zhou Hao was slightly startled. The genuine aura in his body started circulating automatically, dissipating the force that Zhang Daniu had sent into his body. Again, following the voice, Zhang Daniu's other fist had already arrived at Zhou Hao's abdomen. Under this tremendous force, Zhou Hao was sent flying. He somersaulted in the air and lightly landed in the distance, standing on the soft seat of the bicycle. Seeing that Zhou Hao did not show any signs of injury under his fist, which had 50% of his power, Zhang Daniu seemed very calm. The last trace of worry in Zhang Daniu's heart disappeared, and his simple face revealed a look of excitement that could not be suppressed. Although Zhou Hao was not injured, he was very surprised by Zhang Daniu's power. If it was not for his strong inner energy and his physique that had become tougher than an ordinary person after his rebirth, he would not have been able to handle Zhang Daniu's punch. Zhou Hao also found that Zhang Daniu's qi had a very strong penetration force, which could penetrate through the skin and muscles to the internal organs. If it was anyone else, even if they had cultivated the qigong to a profound level, they would still be injured by Zhang Daniu's punch. In the midst of his thoughts, Zhang Daniu had already leapt high into the air, his right fist flying towards Zhou Hao like a meteor. Zhou Hao fell from the bicycle to the ground, but Zhang Daniu's right fist followed him like a shadow. Zhou Hao lifted the tip of his foot and lifted up a brick floor on the ground. He used his inner strength to suck it between his palm and Zhang Daniu's. Zhang Daniu's fist suddenly hit the brick. However, with Zhang Daniu's punch that could concave steel, the brick did not shatter, not even a crack appeared. His strength ignored the existence of the brick and once again penetrated Zhou Hao's palm. With his previous experience, the genuine aura in Zhou Hao's body turned and dispelled Zhang Daniu's force. However, Zhou Hao was shocked in his heart because even though the brick did not shatter, the force could still penetrate into Zhou Hao's body. This reminded Zhou Hao of a very magical martial art, beating a bull across a mountain. Beating a bull across a mountain was a very profound martial art in China. When mastered, one could kill an enemy across the sky. Beating a cow across a mountain was actually the penetrative force of the internal qigong. As the name suggested, penetrative force focused on penetrating power. For example, when fighting a normal person, the fist would hit the body. Generally, it would only cause external injuries. However, for someone who was proficient in penetrating strength, when his fist hit a person's body, the force would directly penetrate the interior of the human body and cause great damage to the internal organs. Those who were struck by penetrating force would suffer internal injuries that were difficult to recover from, and those who were heavily injured would have their internal organs shattered and die. Zhang Daniu didn't know what Zhou Hao was thinking. He only knew that he had never met a person who could block his fist in all these years. He became more and more excited. His two fists also punched at Zhou Hao. Instantly, a sky full of fist shadows swept across like a stormy sea. Zhou Hao was very surprised by Zhang Daniu, because according to his attack power, his strength was no weaker than the divine skill Jing Shiro, who was known as one of the three great experts of Japan, was standing beside Nanami Kaoru. Furthermore, Zhang Daniu was only 19 years old this year, so there was still a lot of room for development. However, although Zhang Daniu had mastered such a powerful martial art at such a young age, he was still far from the realm of transforming meaning into form, not to mention Big Boss, Han Mei, from the First Army, or the patriarch of the Wind Devil clan, Feng Yimou, Tai Luo, supreme expert. The only difference was that even though Zhang Daniu had mastered such a powerful martial art at such a young age, he was still far from the realm of transforming meaning into form. Even compared to Xiahou Bufu, who had most of his power crippled by Zhou Hao, Zhang Daniu was still much weaker. Therefore, even though Zhang Daniu's attacks were like waves, he was still unable to attack Zhou Hao's defense. Great Luo Vajra Fist. In the end, Zhou Hao let out a soft shout and threw out both his fists at the same time, using the powerful move Xiahou Bufu had used back then. Zhang Daniyu felt as if he was at the center of a hurricane. His surroundings were surrounded by strong winds. Before he could make another move, he was lifted up by a huge force and fell heavily to the ground. However, Zhou Hao never thought of hurting him, so he just knocked him down and stopped. I lost. Zhang Daniyu scratched his head and smiled. Then he returned to his simple and honest manner. Zhou Hao stretched out his hand and pulled him up. He heard Zhang Daniyu say, "Zhou Hao, what kind of martial art are you using? It's very powerful. It's even more powerful than the old monk." Old monk? Zhou Hao asked curiously. Zhang Daniyu nodded. The old monk is the one who taught me the divine ox punch. Thus, Zhou Hao learned about his martial arts experience from Zhang Daniyu. It turned out that Zhang Daniyu's father once owed a meal to a monk who passed by Zhang village in his early years. When the monk went to Zhang village for the second time and wanted to repay his kindness, he found that his father had passed away due to a car accident, leaving only Zhang Daniyu and his mother, a pair of orphans and widows. Remembering the kindness his father had shown him during the meal, the monk decided to impart his martial arts to Zhang Daniyu. Originally, the monk only wanted to impart some ordinary martial arts to Zhang Daniyu to strengthen his physique, but he discovered that Zhang Daniyu was a fine jade for practicing martial arts. The monk was moved by Zhang Daniyu's love for talent. He also thought that Zhang Daniyu had a good character, so he taught Zhang Daniyu all his martial arts, treating Zhang Daniyu as his successor. As the monk had never told Zhang Daniyu his name or magic name, Zhang Daniyu had always called him Old Monk. The old monk said that after practicing this divine ox punch, he would be able to beat a cow to death with one punch. Zhang Daniyu said to Zhou Hao, he said that this divine ox punch is divided into 3 stages. The first stage is when you punch a bull, the bull will immediately be killed. The second stage is when a punch landed on the bull's body. The bull will only die after a few days. In the third stage, if you don't touch a cow, you can beat it to death 10 steps away. Zhou Hao was curious and asked, "Which stage have you reached?" Zhang Daniyu scratched his head and smiled. "I am very stupid. I have practiced for more than 10 years, but I have only reached the second stage." Although Zhang Daniyu said it bluntly, Zhou Hao, who had reached a high level in martial arts, understood that the divine ox punch that Zhang Daniyu was talking about was actually a very profound martial art. In the first stage, one was actually practicing the strength of steel, and it was about the strength of steel. The second stage was the hidden strength, and it was about the strength of the yin and yang. Zhang Daniyu had said that the bull would only die after a few days if the bull was hit by the force. In fact, the force was hidden in the bull's meridians, and only after a certain period of time did it explode violently, destroying all the internal organs in the bull's meridians. As for the third stage, it was the penetrating power, which was the stage where one could beat a bull through a mountain. It could kill a bull through the air. In fact, covert force was the introductory stage of penetrative force. The principle was similar, but the penetrative force's penetrating power was stronger. This martial art, when trained to the depths, could be combined with hardness and softness. It could be tough to the extreme and soft to the extreme. At the same time, from the exchange with Zhang Daniyu just now, Zhou Hao could tell that this martial art's genuine aura was very condensed. Just like when Zhang Daniyu attacked Zhou Hao just now, there was no fluctuation of the genuine aura on his body. It was to condense all the genuine aura on his fist to achieve the greatest power. He asked Zhang Daniyu, "What about that old monk? Which stage has he reached?" The old monk said that he had practiced the divine ox punch for more than 50 years. It was only the beginning of the third stage. Zhang Daniyu said, however, the old monk was able to break a rock with a piece of tofu between him and the rock, but the tofu wasn't rotten. After hearing what Zhang Daniyu said, Zhou Hao gasped, thinking that the old monk was too powerful. However, he saw Zhang Daniyu's gloomy expression. However, the old monk died of illness more than 3 years ago. I was the one who dug the grave for him. A dead man cannot be resurrected. Don't be sad. Zhou Hao comforted him. At the same time, he thought that the old monk's martial arts should have come from Shaolin, and Shaolin's martial arts, especially the internal Qigong, should have come from Shaolin. Although it was very powerful, it often took decades of hard work to achieve success. Just like that old monk, who had practiced the divine ox punch for more than 50 years and had only managed to grasp the third stage, Zhang Daniyu had already mastered the second stage at the age of 19. It could be seen how talented he was. However, Zhou Hao thought again. This divine ox punch gave people a simple and unadorned feeling, without any fancy moves. Even the moves that Zhang Daniyu used were straightforward and straightforward. This was just like Zhang Daniyu's personality. Perhaps Zhang Daniyu actually did not have the talent to learn martial arts, but his simple personality. He could concentrate on everything he did and finally learn something. This made Zhou Hao think of Guo Jing, who was written by Jin Yong. In many people's eyes, Guo Jing was very stupid, but it was because of his simple personality that he was able to achieve something in martial arts. Moreover, some martial arts could only be cultivated by people like him. For example, Huang Rong, who was smart and clever, could not learn the left and right duels with each other. Therefore, it could be said that Zhang Daniyu was born to practice the divine ox punch. Why didn't you fight back when that fat boss insulted you? Zhou Hao asked Zhang Daniyu. With your martial arts, he wouldn't be able to withstand a single finger of yours. Zhang Daniyu said seriously, the old monk said before that the most important thing for us to learn martial arts is to strengthen our bodies, protect ourselves and our friends, and help those in need. We absolutely can't use it to bully others. Zhou Hao was very satisfied with Zhang Daniyu's answer. He also felt that Zhang Daniyu's kindness was very rare. If it were anyone else who had his martial arts, they would have committed crimes under the pressure of life. As the saying went, heroes committed crimes with martial arts. When a person possessed extraordinary martial arts, the binding power of law and morality on him would be greatly reduced. Back then, if not for Zhou Hao being familiar with the trend of the stock market in the next 15 years and having his own way of making money, he would have really thought of using his martial arts to rob the rich and help the poor to get rid of the awkwardness of life. Daniyu, what do you plan to do in the future? Although you have martial arts, you will not do those things. Do you want to be a laborer? Zhou Hao said to him, if that is the case, it will only waste your youth. Hearing Zhou Hao's words, Zhang Daniyu's face also revealed a worried look. He heard Zhou Hao say, why don't you follow me in the future? After all, it is better than your current situation. Follow you? I want to be my bodyguard, Zhou Hao said. Bodyguard? Zhang Daniyu was puzzled. But your martial arts is stronger than mine. Do you need my protection? Zhou Hao smiled. Because I don't want others to know that I know martial arts. I also hope that you can keep it a secret for me. As for the salary, let's set it at 10,000 a month. There will be a bonus at the end of the year. 10,000? Zhang Daniyu was completely stunned. In the past, he did not know the concept of money in the village. He only felt that a few dozen yuan was a huge amount. Only when he came to Shanghai did he realize the importance of money. Furthermore, even in Shanghai, 10,000 yuan was considered a very high salary. Zhang Daniyu did not know that the $10,000 Zhou Hao mentioned was calculated in USD. Just like the employees of Galaxy Investment, Zhang Daniyu was surprised and moved by Zhou Hao's suggestion. Zhou Hao was his mother's savior. Even if Zhou Hao did not give him a cent, he would not mind. After a long time, Zhang Daniyu said, Zhou Hao, I really want to follow you. However, I have to ask my mother first. I will only agree if she agrees. No problem. Zhou Hao didn't show any impatience. Instead, he admired Zhang Daniyu's filial piety. When the two of them returned to Mother Zhang's ward, they found that Mother Zhang had woken up and was chatting with Liang Xiaobing. As Mother Zhang spoke the true Shandong dialect, Liang Xiaobing sounded very tired. When she saw Zhou Hao and Zhang Daniyu return, she immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Zhang Daniyu was also very happy when he saw that his mother had woken up. He also introduced Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing to her. When Zhang Mu found out that Zhou Hao and Liang Xiaobing not only helped Zhang Daniyu, but also brought him to the hospital to treat him, she got down from the bed and knelt down in gratitude, but was stopped by Zhou Hao. When Zhang Daniyu told Zhang Mu that Zhou Hao wanted to hire him as a bodyguard and had a salary of 10,000 yuan, Zhang Mu was even more grateful to Zhou Hao. Moreover, her mother could tell that Zhou Hao was not an ordinary person. Her son following him was definitely better than his current situation, so she immediately agreed to let Zhang Daniyu follow Zhou Hao. But Daniel, being my bodyguard requires something to do. This way, you won't be able to stay by your mother's side for a long time. Zhou Hao reminded. Hearing this, Zhang Daniyu hesitated. It was Zhang Mu who scolded. Why are you still hesitating? Don't tell me you want me to take care of you for the rest of your life? The old monk also said that men are ambitious. Now that you have such a good opportunity, hurry up and thank Mr. Zhou. You don't have to worry about Mom. Mom can still take care of herself. Zhou Hao also said, actually, you don't have to worry. My mom is doing business in Guangdong. I can arrange for your mother to go there and take care of her. Zhou Hao, thank you so much. Zhang Daniyu said gratefully. Zhang Mu, who was next to him, glanced at him. Why did you call him by his name so rudely? From now on, You have to call Mr. Zhou the boss. Zhang Daniu nodded and formally called Zhou Hao boss. Zhou Hao originally wanted to be friends with Zhang Daniu, but since he couldn't convince Mother Zhang, he didn't refuse. Anyway, this was just a different way of addressing him. As long as he treated Zhang Daniu like a friend, it would be fine. After that, Zhou Hao naturally wouldn't let Zhang Daniu and his mother stay in that small house with an extremely poor environment. As Zhang's mother still needed to be hospitalized, she stayed in the hospital for the time being. Zhou Hao still had to stay in Shanghai for a period of time, so Zhang Daniu also stayed by his side. Zhou Hao specially booked a room for him in the hotel and temporarily settled him there. He also asked the staff of Sea King Records to buy a few sets of clothes for Zhang Daniu. There was a suit and casual clothes, which were quite complete. Next, Liang Xiaobing started rehearsing on the big stage in Shanghai. Zhou Hao accompanied her in the audience seats below. Because Zhang Daniu was Zhou Hao's bodyguard, he was also by Zhou Hao's side, chatting with him from time to time. Boss, how many people can sit in this place? Zhang Daniu raised his head and looked at the vast Shanghai stage. This place can accommodate 18,000 people. Zhou Hao smiled and said, as for our concert, we have 16,000 tickets for external sales, and another 2,000 tickets are reserved for internal use. Zhang Daniu could not help but sigh. 18,000 people. Our village only has around 1,000 people, which means more than 10 villages are here. Miss Liang is really amazing, to be able to sing in front of so many people. At this time, Liang Xiaobing had rehearsed for more than an hour and was about to come down to rest. Zhou Hao immediately went up to her and took out a tissue. He felt sorry for her and wiped the sweat on his forehead. He said softly, "How is it? Can you handle it?" Liang Xiaobing nodded. "No problem, but I am so nervous. There will be about 20,000 people by then. I have been singing in the recording studio before. I have never tried to sing in front of so many people. Zhou Hao, what should we do? If something goes wrong at that time, it will really be embarrassing. It will even be embarrassing for the company and you." Zhou Hao scratched her nose. "Why are you thinking about this? Don't be afraid. I will look at you when the time comes. You just have to treat the audience as the recording artists outside the recording studio." "Will you really look at me?" "Of course. When have I ever lied to you?" Zhou Hao smiled. Then the director of the concert came over to discuss the rehearsal with Liang Xiaobing. Zhou Hao's phone rang. Zhou Hao looked at the number and a smile appeared on his face. "Hello, President Dai. Mr. Zhou." On the other side of the phone was Dai Jiawen. "We have already prepared the contract to purchase the orange fruit formula. If it is convenient, send a representative to sign the contract." "Right. We've also prepared too. 5 billion yuan. Thank you so much, President Dai." Zhou Hao smiled and said, "I will go over now." So, Zhou Hao, Zhang Daniu, and the legal representative of Sky River went to the China branch of Coca-Cola Company. The legal representative of Sky River was a middle-aged man named Gu Zhongtu. In fact, Gu Zhongtu did not have any background. He was just an ordinary man. He was a puppet that Zhao Yuqin found in the past. Zhou Hao knew the principle of shooting a bird that stood out, especially since he had a close relationship with the Zhao family. He couldn't use his name in business. Even the name of Song Jiahao was written in the column for the owner of the Galaxy Investment Company. When he arrived at the headquarters of the Coca-Cola Company in Shanghai, Dai Jiawen had been waiting for him there for a long time. After being polite for a while, Zhou Hao looked at the contract for the orange fruit formula. This time, not only did he sell the orange and orange recipes to the Coca-Cola Company, he even sold the production rights of the orange and orange recipes to them. In other words, from now on, only the Coca-Cola Company could produce the orange beverage. After knowing that there was no problem with the contract, Zhou Hao had Gu Chengtu sign the contract with Dai Jiai. "Mr. Zhou, too. 5 billion yuan. You can transfer it to your company's account within this week." Dai Jiawen smiled at Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao nodded. "Thank you, President Dai." The relevant personnel were in the process of handling the contract, while Zhou Hao was pulled to the side by Dai Jiawen. "Mr. Zhou, we are friends now," Dai Jiawen said to Zhou Hao with a smile. Zhou Hao immediately nodded. "Of course, unless you think I am not good enough to be your friend." "Haha, what are you saying?" Dai Jia smiled warmly. "Then I will call you Xiao Hao." "Hee, Xiao Hao, if you have any difficulties, you must tell me." "Then I will thank you here first." Zhou Hao smiled. Dai Jia said in an instant. "Xiao Hao, since we are all friends, as the saying goes," Dai Jia said, "we should not let other people take advantage of each other. If you want to sell the Heavenly River in the future, you must find me first." Zhou Hao's facial expression changed. When Dai Jiawen saw his reaction, he was even more convinced of what the Black Widow had told him. Indeed, Zhou Hao had already looked for the coke to talk about selling that Sky River. President Dai, you must be joking. Why would I sell the Sky River? Zhou Hao straightened his face and said, I'm just saying if. Dai Jia laughed instantly, but he was laughing coldly in his heart. No matter how evil a little fox like you is, you can still escape from me. Ginger. It's still the spicy taste of old age. Do you like this video? Let me know in the comments below. And remember to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay updated. See you soon.